you must be always surprised by the person you film. That is to say, you don't have to interpret too much what he says, what he does, etc. You have to let him surprise you.
I presume there were situations in which it was hard to do your work. Can you tell me one?
Yes, during the trials it's
Yes.
quite hard because you hear everything, anything, and maybe things you don't want to hear.
And you have to report them.
No, because it's too hard for public. So you swallow them, tu les avales, and they are here now, near my heart, and that's why I wanted to do this film, to express something of this experience.
Yes, it's just your first documentary.
It's my first long length.
Yes. Which already won 4 awards, as I saw in the description. 4 awards. Are awards important for a film or for you?
The most important is the public, the interest of the public, the questions, the exchanges after the screenings. That's the most important for me.
Do you remember a certain exchange of ideas, maybe from a Q&A in other countries?
Yesterday evening, here in Bucharest, it was a very, very good screening. The questions were very interesting, and I realized that the questions about justice are the same, in fact, wherever in the world, and it's very emotional for me to discover that my film can touch public abroad.
That's true. And what are you searching in your work? The justice for the truth, the justice for people, the justice for, I don't know, maybe the boss, your boss? You know, because there are many versions of the justice. It can be the trials justice.
When I was a court reporter, I was very young, and I discovered that truth doesn't really exist. There is, at one moment, a form of truth, the judiciary truth that comes out, but is it the truth? I don't think so. And it was a great experience for me to discover that. Justice is a feeling, it's quite an emotion, very deep inside each person. I think it comes from when we are very, very little child, the feeling of justice, what is fair or unfair. And
according to each person, because it varies, it's different.
Yes, that's right. So justice is not only in the tribunal, but everywhere.
But did you feel that in some trial, how do you say, the verdict? It was unfair to the accused? Maybe they had an unfair trial?
The most important feeling is not, is it fair, is it unfair? It's that after every verdict there is some mystery that remains, some doubt that remains, and that's a real trouble, because you thought you will get the truth, and you go away with the doubt, the mystery. Les zones d'ombre, on dit en français, les zones d'ombre.
There are shadows.
Yes, yes. They remain. Some of them remain after the verdict, and in each affair, I felt that. nothing is simple. The human life is very, very complicated, contrasted, and even, you know, in France we say le monstre, the criminal who killed people, killed children, and so on, abused.
The monster.
The monster.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that the monsters doesn't exist.
Really? But do you think
They are still human.
They're made, or something happens to them?
They every human has his own shadow, I think, and I discovered complexity, you know, like the labyrinth of the tribunal.
Which has almost 7,000 doors. You counted 9 doors. How did that idea of counting the doors?
At one moment in the 80s, France has to be clear with its monuments, and so geometer came into this.
Geometry.
Yes, un géomètre. Un géomètre.
Interior design or something like that.
Someone who counted every inch of this tribunal, court of justice.
So
he did it during 3 years.
Okay. Because I thought during breaks, trial breaks, you started counting and signing the doors, number of the doors.
He measured everything in the court.
And now you are retired or still practicing?
I'm retired from court reporting, completely retired, but I continue to go to the court with my students in Paris, and we look at trials, and it continues to be une source d'inspiration, something that inspires me still now for my films, because now I'm a filmmaker.
And what are the subjects that interest you right now, apart from your own job?
People.
Okay.
People interest me very much because you know in fact I wanted to be a filmmaker when I was young. First I went to journalism, and the court was my filmmaking school, in fact, because in the court I had to learn how to look at people, to hear them, to be patient, very, very patient, because audiences are very long. And I learned everything to do movies there.
But did you film also? No, you had a camera guy with you, something.
Yes, when I was a court reporter, I only wrote the what happened, and then I had to report it with myself.
Yes.
And I had a team with me.
Because today, that is kind of rare. I mean, everyone is getting independent. They're reporting with their own phones. This is why I was amazed and pleasantly amazed that you and your team in the journalism field were actually getting along and forming something professional.
Before you begin to film, it's important to take a time just to look at people, to meet people without any appareil, without
Any
just
device.
you and just you and the person you have to meet. It's a time which is important.
I know, because I do this all the time with the people I interview. But in World Romania, I don't have more than a few hours, a few minutes, because it's the festival rhythm.
I understand, yes.
But they trust me. I mean, nobody ever felt sorry for having an interview with me, so don't worry. And last, tell me about World Romania, a festival for human rights. Do you think filmmaking, especially documentaries, can, I don't know, change the world, but can have an impact upon the world? You're thinking?
Yes, I think it's very important for the public to see that kind of movies, and if people is educated to see that kind of films, it will change the world, I think, yes.
What kind of films do you think? What subjects?
It's not a special category of films, but it's films that put the human being in the center, with our curiosity to discover what is to be a human.
But how can we distinguish? How can we choose the real human being? Because there are many distractions. How can we choose the characters? Maybe
it's a kind of approach from the filmmaker that is very important. To film someone is not to produce the best picture, the best quality picture.
Image.
Yes, image. The most important is the link between the person who is filmed and the filmmaker. And there are not so many films that work on this point precisely.